You've been lied to about reptiles your whole life, but today we're busting 10 myths that people still believe. So stick around, because what you learn today will change everything you thought you knew about reptiles. Myth number 1, turtles are slow. This is a outright lie. The average turtle, like one of these guys right here, the southern river cooter, can swim an average of 10 to 12 miles per hour and can walk an average of 3 to 4 miles an hour. While that might not be lightning speed, it's definitely not slow. Myth number 2, snakes are slimy. This is absolutely not true. I have held and had and owned many snakes in my life. Never once have I held a slimy snakes. They're actually cold. They're very smooth, and they're slightly bumpy from the scales that they have on them. The only time you'll ever feel a slimy snake is maybe when you're holding a water snake and it's been sitting in mud. But that's probably about it. Myth number 3, frogs give you warts. I can tell you from first-hand experience, I've held many frogs. I grew up catching them all the time when I was little. I have never once gotten frogs from warts. I've also never gotten warts from frogs. Myth busted. Myth number 4, reptiles don't feel pain. Now, reptiles have just as many nerve endings as people do in their body, which is how we as humans feel pain, all the nervous system, the nerves that run through our body. Reptiles have the same nerves that we do, so they can definitely feel pain. Myth number 5, turtles can leave their shells. Turtles are built into their shells. They do not live in their shells. Their shells are part of them. It is bone. They cannot leave it. Their skin is attached to all aspects of their shell. If a turtle were to lose its shell, it would definitely be dead. So, no, turtles cannot leave their shell. Myth number 6, fish cannot feel pain. Fish, just like reptiles and just like humans, also have a central nervous system and nerves running throughout their body. So yes, fish can indeed feel pain. Now, when it comes to animals that can't feel pain, there is actually an animal that can feel very minimal pain due to the simplicity of their central nervous system, and that are crustaceans, one of which is our white crayfish right here. Number 7, reptiles don't have personality. Now, I don't have to tell you, anyone who has kept reptiles for any amount of time can absolutely vouch for this myth being 100% false. And all you have to do is look at these turtles. As soon as I come over and sit next to them, they all come running over to me. Of course, they may want food, but that does give them personality. And I can move all around the cage, all around the pond here, and they will follow me everywhere I go. If you have a bearded dragon or some other type of lizard, a leopard geckos, if when you come home into the reptile room or wherever you happen to have them, and as soon as they see you, specifically bearded dragons do this a lot, that bearded dragon will run to your cage and wait for you to come out, whether you're giving them food or just giving them love. They love being with people. Comment down below if you have a bearded dragon, and that's true. Myth 8, all snakes are venomous. When in fact, out of the over 3,000 snake species in the world, only 10 to 12% of them are venomous. 88 to 90% of any snake you encounter on the wild will not be venomous. Myth number 9, snakes will chase people. This is outright false. 99% of the time, if you encounter a snake out in the wild, it is going to run from you, not run after you. Snakes don't want to challenge you. They don't want to hurt you. You are much bigger than most snakes out there, and they are actually afraid of you. They think that you're going to hurt them or kill them or eat them. So majority of snakes will actually run away from you if you get near them. There are a very, very, very few species that will chase humans, one of which is the black mamba in Africa, one of the world's fastest and most venomous snakes in the world. So if you're in Africa, be careful. Myth number 10, which is by far the most common myth that I personally hear from people all the time, that so many people, especially people who don't keep reptiles, truly still believe. So people are looking to get a new pet reptile, a snake, a lizard, something. And you tell them that snake is going to get huge. You can't keep it a 10 or 20 gallon snake its whole life, because that snake's going to get 10, 15 feet long. And they'll say, well, don't they... Comment down below with what you think I'm going to say. Won't they stay the size of their enclosure? If you keep them in a small enclosure, your animals will just stay small. And then I'll have people say that I've had this said to me numerous times. Oh, when I was younger, I had this iguana that he kept him in a 20-gallon tank his whole life, and he stayed small. And what I tell people when people tell me stuff like that is, there is a smidgen of truth to that, but unfortunately it's a very sad truth, that when you keep a snake or a lizard, most of the time it's a lizard, in a small enclosure, if they're not being cared for with their tank adequately, most likely the other aspects of its life are not being taken care of either. So they're not being fed the right nutrients, they're not getting the correct amount of calcium, they're not getting the correct amount of UVB lights, and all of these things added together does end up, unfortunately, in a smaller animal, but as a very unhealthy, stunted animal who didn't grow to his full size, not because he was kept in a small cage, but because he was malnourished and not given the proper lighting and environment to thrive and live. And that animal will also not get anywhere near to its full maximum life expectancy. The animal will be in poor condition for its whole life, it will be malnourished, and it will die a lot earlier than it's supposed to be. So when you're getting an animal, make sure you know how big that animal is going to get. Because no matter what size cage you get, as long as you're taking care of it properly, which if you're taking care of it properly, you won't keep it in a small cage, that animal will get to its fullest size. I want to thank all you guys for stopping by and watching us today as we debunk these 10 common reptile myths. If you can think of any other reptile myths out there, please leave them down in the comments so we can debunk them. If you enjoyed this video, why don't you check out this one right over here. We'll see you next time.